Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me today to get a high-level overview about BIMrx MEP and BIMrx Core. We're going to be looking at some of the updated workflows version 3.2 is added to our arsenal and how they're going to fit into our overall workflows. A couple quick reminders before we start. First, this webinar is part of a series. If you'd like to see the What's New in 3.2 specific webinar, that's already available on demand. It's going to cover a lot more of the features that exist within Core, as well as the features in fabrication. Now, second, there's a question section. You can type any questions you have in as we go. I've got some teammates here who will respond if they can. Otherwise, we'll answer all these questions at the end of the session. Now, so you can put a face to the voice, my name is Ed. I am a strategic implementation manager here at Microdesk, as well as the BIMrx MEP and fabrication product owner. I've been heavily involved with automation and BIM adoption over the years, and I've seen those struggles firsthand. Microdesk also noticed these struggles in modeling, and we decided to band together and fix them. So I'm here to share that with everybody else. Now, before we get started with the live demo, I do want to talk a little bit about what BIMrx is. We built BIMrx to enhance and simplify Revit and BIM 360. Each of the modules is purpose-built to get projects out the door faster and allow you to spend less time on low-level tasks and more time focused on design. BIMrx Core, MEP, and Fabrication are built to be a part of Revit, while Cloud Manager is a standalone application. BIMrx is built to streamline the entire BIM project lifecycle from views and model production all the way to collaborating with stakeholders and project administration. Today, we're here to talk about Core and MEP. Core is the foundation of the BIMrx products and is focused on project setup, model management, and documentation. BIMrx MEP is a suite of commands to help you model and manage your models quicker and easier. BIMrx automates those manual, repetitive tasks so your team can spend their time on the stuff that matters most. And with that, I think we can dive right into Revit. So popping that open, let's go through a project lifecycle workflow. So I'm working with a model. My architect has just sent me these two brand new towers. I don't have any views or any sheets set up, but I need to start getting some stuff out. So I'm going to very quickly set up some views and sheets so we could get a skeleton set out, in 10 minutes if we need to. I'm going to start out with our Scope Box Manager. Scope Box Manager is letting me grab that architect's model, and I can grab any scope boxes from inside that I want to use. I'm grabbing both of those towers. We'll see it's copied them right over. If you look at the bottom, you'll also notice it's looking for matching or links being moved. That is correct. It works very similar to Copy Monitor, allowing us to update those on the back end if we notice a change. So I'm moving from Scope Box Manager to Sheet View Manager. If we pop into Sheet View Manager, you'll actually see the workflow I'm about to complete running down the left-hand side. We're going to go from Create Views all the way to placing those views on sheets. Inside this configuration settings, we'll notice a whole bunch of data is already populated. This is coming from an Excel file that I already have that exists. So I'm able to leverage that file over and over again from project to project, using the base settings I have and really just choosing the levels that I want to work with. And as I walk through here, all I'm doing is selecting a trade, some levels, clicking Create Views, and we're going to see that it generates all 12 levels 5 to 12 views for that mechanical set in just a few seconds. And there we go, 6.75 seconds to be exact. Now moving right through here, I can jump straight to duplicate. Now there's two ways we can do it, leveraging that Excel again, which I'm gonna do in a second. But just to show you, it's as simple as choosing the view you want, the two scope boxes you want, hitting apply here, and we'll see that it's creating both of those views for us with those individual view names. Now, like I mentioned before, because I reuse these files over and over again, I can just import in an Excel file instead and continue to use that same duplicate file because my naming conventions are consistent and I can duplicate those from project to project. So very quick for a one-off if needed, even quicker if we are being consistent. And there is 16 duplicated as dependents in 6.78 seconds. Again, I'd like everyone to think about the manual process here. Right-clicking each of those views, duplicating as dependent, renaming it. It's a very hefty process. So jumping down to create sheets, very similar looking to create views. And what do you know? The process is pretty consistent. So stepping in, choosing a trade, choosing some levels, and creating sheets based on that. We'll see all of those sheets populated down in the bottom left corner. And wrapping up with that workflow, I can jump to placement. And what do you know? Again, we can do this directly within Sheet View Manager, or like me, if you have something set up that you reuse, we can open that straight in and load them up. So we'll find that I'm using the same plan, 2 views per plan, and place in top right, middle right. Now, as those place, what's really nice about this is you can set these up so those are locked into individual locations. So while I may only be setting up mechanical right now, if we were to set up all of my trades, every trade's views would be in the exact same spot. We would look like an incredibly consistent company. And there we go, 15 seconds to place all 16 of those views. We can immediately send out a skeleton set for those towers mechanical. It's been all of what, 1 minute, 2 minutes? You can check the webinar timer to see. So that's that project setup, right? We've done it. We're good. We can start modeling and move into some other cool stuff. And you know, it's exactly what I'm going to do. Let's go take a look at some modeling we can do. So jumping into this 1- coordination view, this is really how we like to work with BIMrx. We can actually sit here and use a 2D view as a little reference guide. But the real power is the fact that I can sit here in 3D and do most of my modeling in 3D. Now, generally, I like to work with these Revit links half-toned here. Gives you a lot of reference. You can see exactly what's going on, model in 3D, you know, really good stuff. Now, for the sake of the demo, I am going to turn that link off so we can see exactly what's going on over here. Now, let's go take a look at this area and this space. And drag it over a little bit so we can see some equipment as well. So let's take a look at something new that we just brought in to BIMrx MEP. As we jump up to MEP and we look on the left, we have this bloom command. This has been here for a little bit, but we just expanded and made bloom even better. So when bloom goes and causes an extension from every side of this mechanical equipment, we've also allowed us to set the work set for each of those extensions. So knowing that I'm in a multi-trade model, I can absolutely set all of my ductwork to an HVAC trade. I can set all my plumbing to a plumbing trade, so on and so forth for each of these. So when I run this command in a minute, it's going to work perfectly. I'd also like you to take note of this conduit parameters. We'll see that in a second. Clicking OK here, coming over to that equipment. If we bloom that out, there we go. An extension coming out of each, and those extensions also getting the correct work set. We see HVAC down there, even though I'm in work set 1 down here. Now, I mentioned those conduit parameters, and what do you know? We've got some conduits sitting right over here. If I click one of these pieces of conduit right now, we might notice that I am tracking my service type and my comments. There's some data I need to maintain through my run. We go take a look at the bloom settings. We now have started the process of including all of that data tracking for conduit. Right now, it works with the elbows. So anytime we place an elbow, we can choose some parameters that we want to have maintained as we run. So I've chosen that comments and service type here. So what's that mean? When I do my elbow to the left, it's going to maintain that same data, and that data is going to be sitting here. I can do as many elbows as I want, and that data is going to continue to return, right? Now, I do want to note, when we do something like a route to command to connect these items together, and maybe I use a 15-degree bend here, we'll find that that data doesn't transfer through the rest of the way. Though, I'd love you to notice exactly what this route 2 is doing. Connecting those different conduits with built-in exact angles, and I can do that in 2D or 3D, right? Really nifty stuff. So even though that elbow parameter isn't tracking because we're not using elbows, we do have another parameter here or another command that allows us to do that, the data transfer conduits. Simply select the first conduit and run, the last conduit run, and you only have to do this step once. The 2 parameters you want to track, or more, as many as you'd like. And there we go. Those values are passed through, right? Very, very quick. And what's extra cool is the next time you run that command, it is already tracking those values for you and will continue to track them until you close out of Revit. So very, very quick process for us to get in there, get those conduit parameters and all those MEP settings. So we really looked at what we improved and advanced on, the new buttons that you'll notice, Everything else that we've improved for MEP has just been speeding it up and making it run a little more smooth. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at some of the workflows we've carried in the past and how those things work nowadays. Let's see some of the power that BIMrx can bring to your team. So we were already looking at a little conduit over here. Why don't we keep looking at some conduit? If we take a look, I've got a little clash sitting right over here with that ductwork, right? Now it's generally up to me to fix that clash. So I've got a very quick way to do that. I can actually pre-select all of these elements, use MEP, and I can use this over or under, cutting someplace to the left, someplace to the right. Choose some vertical offset, maybe -10 inches. And a bend that makes sense. For electrical, 30 makes perfect sense. I can say okay, and it's gonna automatically cut and create that for me. And there we see, peeling down. We can also do this individually for just one conduit at a time if we're running a rack and we need to drop a conduit down and peel off the side. We have some other auto routes that exist. Another really nifty one we have is this kick 90 command. I can show us that kick 90 on a little piece of ductwork sitting right down here. If I zoom in on that piece of duct and we use kick 90, it's asking me to choose a side that I want a 90-degree bend and choose a side I want another bend. Because it's ductwork, I think 45 degrees makes sense. So if I want to 90 up and come flat, I can 90 up and go flat. And we see that 90 to a bend. You'll notice it's not working on square duct. I do think it's pretty fair. We can't arbitrarily rotate a 90-degree square bend. So those are a couple of those auto route commands we have up there. They're pretty nifty stuff. Now let's kind of keep moving on and see some of the other power we have. We've taken a look at a little bit of ductwork here. We've taken a look at a little bit of conduit up here. Why don't we go take a look at some more ductwork? And don't you worry, plumbing team, we will absolutely take a look at some pipe work by the time this is done. So jumping down here to a little duct space, I've got some stuff that's been placed. Looks like something was deleted or maybe a new element's come in. No worries, I can work with all that easily. I'm going to immediately bloom that piece of mechanical equipment to give me something to work with. I can jump to my front view, give this an elbow up. Nifty fact about working in 3D views. When you lock to one of those faces, you can use the move commands and move items only in single directions. You'll notice it didn't shift up or down. So we can build in 3D incredibly easily, and we can start leveraging commands like align branch to make sure that our elements are lined up and just working perfectly. We can then leverage built-in commands to connect these things together. If we want to go back to that front view, again, you could even move these things up. And maybe I know this one is going to sit down here a little below. We could absolutely fabricate it that way, but Revit doesn't like to connect it that way. So if I want that to force connect, I can use our tap command, and it will allow that tap to connect even though it's just a little bit off the side. My last step here, I've really got a few of these air terminals I need to connect. So let's go ahead and get a couple copies. And in fact, I'll even make it more difficult for myself and rotate one of them. We can use commands like move connect to immediately connect these pieces together. And then I can use commands like move connect align to cause a rotation and a connection on that. And there we go, that entire run connected together. And while I may have gotten lucky with all my boots going the same direction, maybe I'm not so lucky. I can grab all of them at the same time and use our flip multiple command to flip every single one of them at the same time. Yes, you saw that right, no more individual clicking. In fact, that flip multiple command works for any element that has a flip work plane. So maybe I've placed all of my lights upside down. Happens frequently. We can jump to MEP and we could flip all of our lights at the same time. Maybe I've placed some electrical fixtures in the wrong orientation. Again, we can grab as many as we want and flip multiple. An incredibly powerful command. So we've seen a little duct routing, we've seen some conduit routing. Let's take a little bit of a look at pipe routing. And then anyone here who's electrical that just cares about the circuiting, I absolutely have something for you as well. So jumping up, let's do a little bit of sanitary routing. Now this is where you're really going to notice these alignment and move connects coming in handy. Anytime we're dealing with slope pipe, stuff gets a little messy, things don't like to connect. We just tried to make that easy. We want everything to connect as smoothly as possible. So jumping down here, I can just start blooming my elements out. It's going to maintain any of those slopes I've already created. I can give myself extensions and just move those extensions on, because 3D views allow us to do that. You can then look over here and notice these aren't aligned. Well, that's exactly why align branch exists. It allows me to drop that down to the exact height and then use trim extend to bring those elements together. Very, very quick. But if you have something that maybe isn't already existed and you want to connect together, we can work with that as well. I can bloom this element out, and we'll notice it's giving me the sanitary bloom, right? I want you to remember, if I wanted that to be drainage, all I need to do is jump in here and ask it to be drainage instead. But I'm going to leave it as sanitary for now so I can show you some more cool stuff. And again, let's get back to that piece building, right? I've dragged a P-trap over from the side. For some reason, every P-trap is built sideways, so I can work with that. I can absolutely use move connect align to grab the closest connector, rotate and put that in the right spot. You can then bloom that element out and continue working with this one. You can grab that chunk of elements. Rather, let's grab the bottom two here and use our rotate fitting command, which allows for a pre-select. Doing that rotate fitting command allows me to rotate and aim directly at that run over there. Why don't I use something like delete system to turn this undefined so it can accept this system later? And maybe an item like align branch plus to allow this to also inherit the system coming off of the main while aligning it to the correct height. You can use trim extend to bring those elements together. I can jump over to the other piece of vent over here. Maybe I do want to copy some of this stuff. I can grab that little vent section, bring that over and get it close, because I'm going to let BIMrx do the final steps. Use something like split, because our split with gap does not place couplings. And then I can use move connect again to bring these elements back together. I can use move connect again to cause an extension. I can do an elbow up to start building out my vent system. I can do an elbow to the left. Elbow up, elbow left. Oh, let's see. Looks like I'm getting these 45s, and there we go. Just linking a few of those items together quick enough. Maybe I want to grab some elements, move them around. You can piece build some stuff. Never that big an issue, right? We can do a move connect here, get those elements together, making sure we're using the align version. You can grab one of these, do that rotate fitting, 90 degrees. I can bloom that one out, give us an extension there, grab those elements right there, copy these along, place those over here again. Let's do another move connect to bring these elements together. And now we're sitting here with a couple systems. Why don't we turn that to a T instead? We can use something like align in 3D to align those elements up. I can then use that move connect again we saw previously to bring those together. Maybe I want to do an elbow to the right. Maybe I want to do an elbow to the left. Maybe I want to do an align branch to align those elements together. And then we can do a trim extend for a final connection. It's incredibly quick for us to route in 3D and bring all those elements together, right? Maybe I want to jump down and set my bloom value to an incredibly big number so I can bloom all of my risers all at the same time. Maybe I want to set my elbow down to 8 feet so I can drop any of my waters down the wall into the elements that they require. Maybe I want to jump over here and rotate this fitting so it aims a little bit more correctly at my main that has been moved so my clean out sits in a good spot. I can absolutely jump in here and do a rotate fitting. If I rotate my fitting here, maybe a negative 45 degrees. Oh, looks a little wrong. No worry, because the pre-select maintains. We can give it a positive 90 to flip it back. Looking over on the side there, I now need to line these things up. Well, we've seen me do a line branch with individual elements. Turns out we can do a pre-select as well. Doing a pre-select will force all of these elements to only move in one direction. What's that mean? That means I can absolutely use align branch and see this only shift in the vertical to allow me to use trim extend to corner for that final connection. Very, very quick process. I can then maybe route up the final bit over here. Another copy, another move connect. I can go ahead and grab that whole section again, and we have that rotate fitting that we've been using this whole time. 90 degrees over. We learned a few minutes ago, if you go and lock your view, you can lift these things up in only a single direction. So I'm lifting that up, so it's sitting a bit higher than my main over here. And now because my routing preferences are placing Y with an 8th bend, I'm going to very quickly choose an element that does not have Y with 8 bends. And we can see one more really quick auto route, and that is our roll into main, which allows me to choose a main, choose a run, and it 90s in to a 45 connection on the main. And we can very quickly take that exact shape and turn it into some other cool stuff. You can delete the elbow, grab the center portion, rotate fitting 45 degrees. Again, if we hit the wrong one, it's as simple as a 90 or a 180 in the other direction. All right, just keep rotating and eventually you'll get there, right? And then similar to before, that's another align branch situation if you ask me. Using a line branch on the run there, we'll see it drop only in the vertical, allowing us to do another trim to corner. And we have a classic rolling offset. And for anyone else here who doesn't like that shape either, well, I've got one more for you. We can grab that chunk in the middle, rotate our fitting here, 45 degrees, or maybe we just want to elbow down at 45 degrees, whatever it may be. We can rotate those fittings around, line them up, and just use the trim extend command for that final connection after we have done that align branch. Really nifty stuff. Any angle you want, we can get connected. All right, so that's a whole bunch of routing stuff. We've seen a lot of 3D routing, a lot of 2D routing, whole bunch of elements that we can work with. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at a little bit of the electrical circuiting that we can do as well, and a little bit more of the power core brings to us. I'm going to swap us down to a medium view over here while we take a look at these. Why don't we just drag this to the left a bit? So popping back into core, I want everyone to see this tag settings command. So tag settings allows us to build out tagging profiles that we can then use to tag multiple tags on a single element at a time. For me, that means jumping in and tagging all of those panels all at the same time. Now, setting these elements as defaults lets us do some even cooler items. So setting those lights as defaults and clicking finish. I do want to save. We could absolutely jump up here and leverage an even newer command called tag all. Tag all lets me jump in here, grab a single configuration or group. If you'd like to hear more about that, I highly recommend tuning into one of the core sessions. But maybe I want to tag every single lighting element on all of my lighting views. I could go in here, filter by lights, grab all of them, execute it, and place every single one of those on. And there we go. I have tagged my lighting drawing. I am done. We can click finish. Very nifty command, allows us to do a lot of tagging very quickly. And once we confirm that those tags look nice, we don't even need to worry. So I really wanted those tags to exist so you guys can see what I'm about to do with MEP. I have a whole bunch of commands that exist up here in electrical, specifically for assisting us with those electrical circuits and not having to menu dive. So maybe I want to add something from circuit 1 to circuit 2. Well, in MEP, we have add circuits. Choose another element, click finish. They're added together. Maybe this one shouldn't belong to any circuit whatsoever. I can use remove circuits. Now it's on nothing. Same as before, I can jump back and add circuits back together. And if I truly wanted these things merged, I choose one of them, jump up to MEP, merge circuits, choose another, click finish, and we'll see those merge. Now I am going to click cancel because I would like to maintain 2 of these. Because what I'd really like you guys to notice is I do have some circuiting set up, and these are all circuited to this panel. We have an incredible command in MEP called copy circuits. If I copy circuits, and by copying them, choose a panel to copy the panel, I can actually put that anywhere I would like. We'll notice it's breaking host, but it's copying each group of elements with me. Not only did it copy those circuits, it also, let me go ahead and use tag select this time, so I don't need the settings window open if I have default set. And we'll notice it made a copy of the panel. So it actually maintained all of the circuiting and the elements, everything downstream of that panel. And it renames the panel and everything. We have a whole new system over here. So anytime you're dealing with repetition, even if the rooms aren't the exact same size, we can maintain all of the effort we put into circuiting and placing and just rehost those elements. But let's say you do get lucky and you absolutely have a repetitive building. Like me, from levels 1 to 2, you could absolutely jump into an elevation view, grab that panel in your elevation view, and copy circuits from level to level. Again, we'll see that panel pop up, but none of the hosting warnings. Because as we jump up to 2- coordination, we see every single one of those elements sitting right there waiting for me. And just like before, if I go back to tag select, there we go with that BR panel copy. And I can go ahead and name this a -3, and we'll see that pop up there as well. Really nice stuff. We can set up one single floor, maintain that one floor as typical, and right before we issue drawings or issue a set, we can copy that through the entire building. An incredibly quick workflow. Now, we've done a whole bunch of modeling and it's probably about time to kick these things out, right? Couple ways we can do that. And if we look in Core, I'm going to show you two of them. Maybe we have a revision that's been done and we want to jump in, and I know that a few of these items belong on a revision. I could maybe push that revision to those items, right? So there we go. There's those items of that revision. And maybe I also know that there were some other sheets edited as well. Well, I could immediately jump into my filter. I can go find every item that is on revision 5. I can then grab all of those items at the same time, and I can create a print set from them. No more searching through your project for every edited sheet. It's waiting right there for you, and you can immediately create a print set. So now I'm ready to print. I'm going to go let an intern take care of that because I have more pressing concerns. I need to go work with my NWC files. So if you take a look, I've got 5 whole floors over here, and realistically, I've got another, 12 minus 5 is 7 floors that I need to create as well. So that's a whole bunch of views that I need to export. Well, we have the export NWC utility. As long as you choose a location you want to drop it to, maybe my NWC exports. On the left, we can either choose views from the browser, or if we have a prefix, we can automatically export anything with that prefix. You'll also notice we include all of the NWC export options down here, so you can just do this incredibly quickly. Clicking Export NWC will kick all of those out, and I can start using them inside Navisworks. All right, that is a whole bunch of stuff. Thank you for hanging out and listening. I've got a little bit more to show you, but I'm going to jump back to the PowerPoint for that. All right. So there is a little bit more. So I just showed you how to create those print sets and export those NWCs. If we're using Cloud Manager Pro, we can now take those print sets and automate the export of PDFs either on demand or on a schedule. Yes, we can also automate the export of NWCs on demand or on a schedule. BIMrx Cloud Manager integrates with Core for PDF, DWG, and NWC exports from the Revit model on daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So if you have projects on BIM 360 or ACC, you would definitely benefit from the features that are in BIMrx Cloud Manager. So let's take a quick look at some of those savings. Really, the more elements you need to modify, the more time you're going to be saving using BIMrx. The real question is how much time are you wasting by not having BIMrx? Now, beyond what we've seen today, BIMrx includes even more incredible commands and allows for tons of ways to speed up your workflows. And we've only seen a smidgen of what exists inside Core. I'm certain that you'd benefit from not just one, but many of the features that are listed here. I hope you got a small taste of what BIMrx could do for you and your project teams. Now to note, BIMrx is continuously evolving and improving. We would love to hear from customers like you about features you would like to see in BIMrx. We've made it easier than ever. You can submit your ideas for improvement or entirely new commands directly on our BIMrx website. Be a part of helping us make BIMrx even better. Now, to remind you, this presentation is part of the BIMrx webinar series. Please go check out those other webinars on Core, Fabrication, and Cloud Manager. You can also jump to our website or our YouTube channel to see recordings of webinars and learn about what Microdesk and BIMrx can do for you. You can read all about the existing commands and features, watch videos, and subscribe to BIMrx so you stay up to date with all the latest information. I really appreciate everyone taking time out of your day to learn about how BIMrx MEP can help. So for more information on BIMrx, please visit BIMrx or Microdesk website. Here you can view the product, schedule demos, and get in touch with the right people to help get you started.